Excuse me, ma'am.
The
I need
night
you to
was
look at this
cold
right
and
now.
quiet in
What
New
is it?
York.
I'm
The
listening.
city
It's
lights were
important for the
bright,
flight.
but
Please comply.
inside one small office, everything felt heavy and dark. A woman sat alone at a wide wooden desk. Her name was Angela Brooks. Most people in the world did not know her face. They only knew her company name. They only knew the money. They only knew the success. But Angela was not thinking about success tonight. She was thinking about a problem that could destroy everything. Her phone lay on the table. Silent like it. Was afraid to speak. The office clock ticked slowly. Each second felt louder than the last. Angela's eyes moved to the big window. Below, cars rushed like angry ants. People were living normal lives. They were laughing, eating dinner, going home. Angela could not. Go home, not tonight. She looked tired, not the tired that comes after work. This was a tired that comes after fighting too many battles alone. On the desk, there were papers. A lot of papers, reports, complaints, employee records, security notes. One file was open in front of her. It had a bold red stamp. Urgent, serious incidents are report. Angela read the same lines again and again. Rude behavior, fair treatment. Passenger humiliated. Racist comments suspected. Staff ignored complaint. Her fingers pressed the paper so hard the edges bent. She whispered to herself, how did this happen again? Angela owned the airline. She built it from the ground. People called her lucky, but she was not lucky. She was strong. She was smart. She worked day and night. She missed birthdays. She missed holidays. She missed rest. She created rules. She trained teams. She hired the best people. So why were these complaints still coming? Why were passengers still being treated like they were nothing? Angela took a long breath. Her chest felt tight, like a stone was sitting on it. She stood up and walked to the shelf. On it were old photos. One photo showed a younger Angela in a simple suit, smiling. Beside her mother, they were standing in front of a small house. Both looked proud. Angela touched the glass. Framed softly, her mother's voice lived in her mind like a quiet song. Never forget where you came from, her mother used to say, and never let people make you feel small. Angela's throat felt dry. She turned back to the desk and sat down again. Her assistant had left hours ago. Everyone had gone home. Even the security guard downstairs was asleep. Angela was alone with a storm of thoughts. She opened her laptop and checked the newest email. The subject line hit her like a slap. VIP complaint. First-class staff behavior must review Angela. Clicked it. A first-class passenger had written, I paid for respect. I paid for safety, but I felt watched and judged. I felt like I did not belong. Your staff looked at me like I was wrong for being there. Angela read it twice. Then she read the name. The passenger's name was not famous, not rich, just a normal person. That made it worse, because normal people were the ones who suffered quietly. They did not have power. They did not have a lawyer. Ready? They did not have media support. They only had feelings. And those feelings were being crushed. Angela slowly closed her eyes. Her hands trembled a little. She had promised herself, this airline will be different, different from the world that once treated her like she was nothing. Angela remembered her first job. She was young then. She worked at a business office where people talked over her, ignored her ideas, and smiled at her face, but laughed behind her back. One day, she heard a manager say, she's smart, but she doesn't look like the type that belongs here. Angela never forgot those words. They were like a scar, invisible but painful. That scar pushed her to build something bigger. But now, the same ugly feeling was happening inside her own airline. Angela opened another file and checked the staff. Name linked to most complaints. A name repeated again and again. Emily Carter. Flight attendant, first class Angela stared at the name. She did not know Emily personally. Emily was one employee among thousands, but the pattern was clear. The complaint? Note said, strong attitude. Bossy tone? Targets certain passengers. Acts polite to rich-looking customers. Cold to others. Angela leaned back and stared at the ceiling. Maybe the managers were hiding things. Maybe reports were being ignored. Maybe training was weak. Or maybe some people simply enjoyed power, even small power. The power to embarrass someone. The power to make someone feel less. The power to hurt and still act innocent. Angela's jaw tightened. She was not angry only for. She was angry for every person who sat on a plane, hoping to be treated like a human. She picked up her phone. Her thumb hovered over a contact. Captain Raymond Cole. He was one of the senior captains. Honest, strict, calm. The type who followed rules. The type who asked questions when something felt wrong. Angela had trusted him for years, but it was late. Very late. Angela looked at the clock. 1:37 a.m. She hesitated. Then her phone buzzed by itself. Angela's eyes widened. She looked at the screen. Unknown number, she answered. Hello? A man's voice came fast and nervous. Ms. Brooks. This is Marcus from Internal Operations. I'm sorry to call this late, but we have a situation. Angela's heart dropped. What situation? She asked, calm but sharp. Marcus swallowed. She could hear it. We received a report from a staff member. They didn't want their name shared. They said something bad may happen on tomorrow's Paris flight. Angela's fingers tightened around the phone. What do you mean, something bad? Angela asked. Marcus spoke quietly, like he was afraid someone could hear him. They, said Emily, is out of control. She thinks she can do anything. She talks about passengers like they are trash, and she gets worse when she feels challenged. Angela's eyes narrowed. Why am I hearing this now? She asked. Marcus sounded ashamed. People are scared, ma'am. She has friends in the department. Complaints disappear. Some supervisors protect her because she gets tips from rich customers and keeps first class quiet. Angela's stomach turned. Are you saying my airline is protecting bad behavior? Marcus did not answer directly. He said, Ma'am, tomorrow's flight is full. There are business people, diplomats, important names. If something happens publicly, it will become a big scandal. Angela's voice turned colder. And what about the normal passengers who were hurt before? Were they not important? There was silence. Then Marcus said, You're right. I'm sorry. Angela looked down at the open file. Emily's name. Again, Angela breathed slowly. She felt a fire inside her, but she controlled it. When Angela finally spoke, her voice was quiet but strong. Which flight number? She asked. Marcus replied quickly. Flight 882, New York to Paris. Departure 10:30 a.m. Angela's mind worked. Fast, she could fire Emily tomorrow, but that would not show the truth. Emily could pretend she was innocent. She could cry. She could say she was attacked by a passenger. Angela needed proof. Real proof? She needed to see it with her own eyes, and she needed to know something deeper. How many people like Emily were in the system? How many passengers were being judged every day? Angela's eyes turned hard. She made a decision. One that no one expected. Marcus, she said, I will be on that flight. Marcus almost shouted, Ma'am? What? No, it's risky. You can't. Angela cut him off. I won't go as the CEO, she said. I will go as a normal passenger. Marcus went silent. Angela continued, I want to see the truth. I want to see how my people act when they think nobody powerful is watching. Her voice softened for 1 second. And if I see cruelty, I will end it. Marcus whispered. How will you do it, ma'am? Angela looked at her cheek in the dark laptop screen, like she was seeing herself in the future. She said, I will let them show their real face. Then she ended the call. The office became silent again. But Angela's heart was loud now. She opened her drawer and pulled out a simple passport cover, plain and black. She grabbed a small notebook and wrote one line. Tomorrow, the mask will fall. Then she stood up, turned off the lights, and walked out of the office, outside. The city wind hit her face cold. Sharp. Angela pulled her coat tighter and looked up at the sky. She did not know what would happen on that flight, but she knew one thing. Someone was about to learn a hard lesson, and it would not be her. Morning came too fast. The sun rose over New York, but Angela Brooks did not feel its warmth. She stood in front of her bedroom mirror, staring at a version of herself the world had never seen. No designer suit, no jewelry, no confidence armor, just a simple woman. She wore plain black pants, a soft gray sweater, and flat shoes. Her hair was tied back neatly. On her face, there was no makeup, only calm. If someone looked at her now, they would never guess she owned an airline worth billions. Angela picked up her phone and turned it off. No calls, no assistance. Today, she wanted the truth, raw and untouched. She placed her CEO badge inside a locked drawer. The sound of the drawer closing felt heavy, like she was closing a chapter of her life. Before leaving, she looked around her apartment. It was large, beautiful, and quiet. Too quiet. She whispered to herself, today, I fly as the woman I once was. The airport was busy and loud. People rushed in all directions. Wheels rolled. Announcements echoed. Babies cried. Phones rang. Angela walked slowly through the terminal. Nobody noticed her. Nobody stopped her. Nobody cared. And that was exactly the point. At the check-in counter, a young employee smiled politely. Good morning, ma'am. Passport, please. Angela handed it over. The employee typed, clicked, and nodded. First class. Gate 14. Angela said softly, Thank you. The employee smiled again. The same smile she gave to everyone. No judgment. No disrespect. Angela felt a small relief. Maybe things are not as bad as I think, she thought. But deep inside, she knew the real test had not started yet. At the security line, Angela stood behind a well-dressed couple. The man wore a costly watch. The woman held a designer bag. Security staff greeted them warmly. Good morning, sir. Please go ahead, ma'am. When Angela stepped forward, the tone changed. Step aside. Open your bag. Remove your shoes. The words were sharp. Cold, Angela followed every instruction. Calmly, she noticed the difference. Small, quiet, but clear. She picked up her bag and walked away without a word. Her heart felt tight, but her face stayed calm. This is how it starts, she thought. Not loud, not violent. Just cold at Gate 14, first-class passengers waited in comfortable chairs. Angela sat down near the window. She placed her bag beside her feet and opened a book. She was not really reading, she was watching. A man in a blue suit complained loudly about the coffee machine. Staff rushed to help him. A woman wearing diamonds asked for a blanket. 2 attendants appeared instantly. Angela watched quietly. No. One asked her if she needed anything. She did not raise her hand. She did not complain. She waited. Boarding was announced. First-class passengers stood up. Angela joined them. At the plane door, a flight attendant greeted passengers. Welcome aboard, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Then Angela stepped forward. Then, smile faded. The attendant looked at the ticket. Then at Angela's face. Then at the ticket again. You're in first class. The attendant asked. Yes. Angela replied softly. The attendant handed back the ticket without smiling. "Go ahead." Angela walked inside. Her steps were slow, but her mind was sharp. The first-class cabin smelled clean and rich. Soft lights. Wide seats. Quiet voices. Angela found her seat near the window and sat down. She placed her bag under the seat and folded her hands in her lap. She looked peaceful. But inside, her heart was beating fast. She was not nervous. She was ready. A few minutes later, a flight attendant approached. This was Emily. Emily walked with confidence. Too much confidence. Her eyes moved quickly. Judging everything, she stopped near Angela. Her eyes scanned Angela from head to toe. Then she spoke. "Excuse me," Emily said, her voice firm. "Can I see your boarding pass again?" Angela looked up calmly. "Of course." Shh. Handed it over. Emily studied it longer than needed. "This seat is expensive," Emily said. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" Angela nodded. "Yes." Emily's lips pressed together. She handed the pass back without apology. "We'll see," Emily said quietly. Then she walked away. Angela's fingers tightened for 1 second. "Will?" "See," Angela repeated in her mind. Other passengers noticed. A man across the aisle watched with interest. A woman nearby shook her head slightly. Nobody spoke, nobody defended. Angela understood. Something painful in that moment. Silence protects bad behavior, as the plane prepared for takeoff. Emily returned. She spoke loudly this time. "Ma'am, you need to store your bag properly." Angela looked down. Her bag was already placed correctly. "It is stored," Angela said softly. Emily sighed loudly. "Rules are rules," she said. Touching the bag roughly, Angela felt eyes on her. She did not move. She did not argue. She only said, "Please be gentle." Emily froze. For a second, anger flashed in her eyes. "Do not tell me how to do my job," Emily snapped. The cabin grew quiet. Angela lowered her eyes. "I apologize," she said calmly. Emily walked away, breathing hard. Angela's heart hurt. Not because of the words, but because she had seen this before. She had lived this before. The plane began to move as engines roared. Angela closed her eyes. She remembered being young, being ignored, being doubted, being told to sit down and be quiet. Back then, she had no power. Today, she had all the power in the world. But she chose silence. For now, a man sitting next to Angela leaned slightly toward her. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "She had no right to talk to you like that." Angela smiled gently. "Thank you," she replied. That small kindness felt big as the plane lifted into the sky. Angela looked out the window. The city became smaller, but the problem she came to face was getting closer. She opened her notebook and wrote 2 words, "Still watching." She knew this was only the beginning. Emily had not shown her worst yet, and when she did, everything would change. The seatbelt sign turned off. A soft bell sound filled the cabin. Passengers relaxed. Some opened laptops, some ordered drinks. The flight had officially begun. But for Angela Brooks, the real test was just starting. She sat quietly in her seat. Hands folded, eyes calm. She looked like a woman who wanted no trouble. Emily watched her from across the cabin. Emily always noticed people like Angela. People who did not look rich. People who stayed quiet. People who did not complain. Emily believed silence meant weakness. Emily pushed the drink cart forward. Glasses clinked softly. Her smile appeared and disappeared depending on who she faced. A man in a suit asked for champagne. Of course. "Sir," Emily said sweetly. A woman with gold earrings asked for orange juice. "Right away, ma'am." Then Emily reached Angela. She stopped. "What would you like?" Emily asked, her voice flat. "Water, please," Angela replied politely. Emily stared at her for a second. Still or sparkling? Emily asked sharply. Still is fine, Angela said. Emily turned away without a word. Minutes passed, 10 minutes 15. Emily served everyone around Angela. Glasses filled, smiles exchanged. Angela's seat remained empty. The man beside Angela noticed. She skipped you, he whispered. Angela nodded gently. It's okay. But it was not okay. Not for the woman who paid. Not for the people watching. Not for the airline's soul. Finally, Emily returned. She placed the water down hard. Drops spilled on the tray. There, Emily said. Anything else? Angela looked at the water. Then at Emily. Thank you, she said calmly. Emily rolled her eyes and walked away. A woman across the aisle whispered to her friend. That was rude. Her friend replied, just ignore it. Ignore it. Those words followed Angela like a shadow. A few minutes later, Angela stood up slowly. She walked toward the restroom at the front of the cabin. Her steps were quiet. Before she could reach the door, Emily appeared in front of her. Where do you think you're going? Emily asked loudly. To the restroom, Angela replied. This restroom is for first class only, Emily said, crossing her arms. Angela looked around. Passengers were watching now. I am in first class, Angela said softly. Emily laughed. Yeah. Sure, she said. I don't think so. The cabin went silent. Angela felt heat rise in her chest, but she controlled her voice. My boarding pass says first class. Emily leaned closer. You people always try to sneak in, she said quietly, but loud enough for others to hear. The words hit harder than a slap. Angela froze. You people. Time slowed. Some passengers looked away. Some looked shocked. Some looked curious. No one spoke. Angela's fingers trembled for 1 second. Then she steadied herself. I paid for this seat, Angela said. I deserve respect. Emily's face changed. Respect. That word made her angry. Sit down, Emily snapped. Now. Angela did not move. I am not doing anything wrong, Angela said calmly. Emily's voice rose. You are disturbing other passengers, she shouted. Sit down before I call security. Angela felt every eye in the cabin. Humiliation pressed on her like weight. She thought of her mother. She thought of every quiet passenger before her. She took a breath. Please. Lower your voice, Angela said. We can talk calmly. That sentence broke something inside Emily. Emily stepped closer. Her hands shook. I'm tired of this, Emily said. Always causing problems. Angela barely had time to react. Emily's hand moved fast. Slap, the sound cut through the air. The cabin froze. A sharp red mark appeared on Angela's cheek. Phones slipped from hands. Mouths opened. Breathing stopped. Angela did not scream. She did not cry. She slowly raised her hand. She touched her cheek. The pain was real. But the deeper pain was heavier. Emily stepped back, shocked at herself. What have I done? She whispered. But it was too late. Angela looked up. Her eyes were calm, but something in them had changed. She spoke quietly. Please, she said, call the captain. Emily laughed nervously. You think the captain will take your side? She said. Sit down. Angela did not raise her voice. I said, she repeated, call the captain. Her tone was different now. Firm, clear, unshakable. The man beside Angela stood up. That was wrong, he said loudly. You had no right. Woman spoke next. She didn't do anything. Whispers turned into voices. Emily's confidence cracked. Her face lost color. She reached for the intercom with shaking hands. The plane felt smaller. The air felt heavy. Angela stood still. Her heart pounding, she knew the moment had arrived. The truth was about to rise, and no one could stop it now. The sound of heavy footsteps came from the cockpit. Every head turned. The captain was coming. Captain Raymond Cole stepped into the first class cabin. He was tall, calm, and serious. His uniform was perfect. His eyes scanned the room quickly. He could feel it. Something was very wrong. Passengers spoke at once. She slapped her. That woman did nothing. It was public. Captain Cole raised his hand. "Everyone, please stay seated," he said firmly. "I will handle this." His eyes moved to Emily. Emily stood stiff, her face pale. Her hands shook slightly. "Captain," Emily said quickly, "this passenger was causing problems." She refused to follow instructions. The captain turned to Angela. Angela stood quietly. Her cheek was red. Her eyes were steady. "Ma'am," the captain said gently, "are you all right?" Angela nodded once. "I am fine," she said. "I would like to speak with you." Captain Cole looked at her closely. Something about her felt familiar, not her face. Her calm. "Emily," the captain said, "step back." Emily hesitated. "Now?" The captain repeated. Emily stepped aside. The cabin was silent. Even the engine noise felt distant. The captain turned back to Angela. "Please, tell me what happened," he said. Angela spoke slowly. "I asked for water," she said. "I was ignored. I stood to use the restroom. I was stopped. I was accused. And then I was hit." She did not raise her voice. She did not add emotion. That made it stronger, Captain. Cole listened without interrupting. When Angela finished, he turned to Emily. "Is this true?" he asked. Emily's mouth opened, then closed. I was just doing my job," she said weakly. Captain Cole looked at the passengers. "Did anyone see what happened?" Hands rose. "Yes, we saw everything." She slapped her. The truth stood tall in the cabin. Emily's shoulders dropped. Captain Cole took a deep breath. "Emily," he said, "physical violence is never acceptable. This is a serious violation." Emily panicked. She challenged me. Emily shouted. She wouldn't listen. Angela spoke quietly. "I listened," she said. "I stayed calm." Captain Cole nodded slowly. Then Angela reached into her bag. Emily's eyes widened. The captain watched closely. Angela pulled out a simple Molly pill. Allie pulled out a simple black card. She handed it to the captain. Captain Cole glanced at it. Then he froze. His eyes widened. His face changed. He looked again and again. The card read, "Angela Brooks, CEO and OWNR." Captain Cole straightened instantly. The cabin felt like it stopped breathing. He looked at Angela with respect. "Ms. Brooks," he said softly. Whispers exploded. "Owner, CEO. No way." Emily's face turned white. "What?" she whispered. Captain Cole turned to the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said clearly, "this woman is the owner of this airline." Shock moved through the cabin like electricity. Phones dropped. Mouths opened. Eyes widened. Emily stepped back. No, that's not possible," she said. Angela met her eyes. "I am," Angela said calmly. Emily's knees weakened. "I didn't." "No," she cried. "If I knew, I would never." Angela raised her hand gently. "That is the problem," she said. The words were quiet, but they cut deep. "You should not need my title to show respect," Angela continued. "You should not need my power to see my humanity." The cabin was silent. Some passengers wiped their eyes. Captain Cole swallowed hard. "Emily Carter," he said firmly, You are suspended immediately." Emily collapsed into a seat, sobbing. Security. Was called. Captain Cole turned back to Angela. "I am deeply sorry," he said. "Should never have happened." Angela nodded. "I know," she replied. She looked around the cabin. "At everyone watching," she said softly. Silence protects bad behavior. Some passengers lowered their heads. Angela's cheek still burned, but her heart was calm. The truth had arrived, and it was unstoppable. The cabin was still silent, not the calm silence of peace, but the heavy silence of shame. Emily was taken away by security. Her cries faded as the curtain closed behind her. The sound of her footsteps disappeared, but the weight of her actions stayed behind. Passengers sat frozen. Some looked at Angela with respect. Some looked at the floor with regret. Some looked at their phones, unsure what to do. Angela slowly sat back in her seat. Her cheek still hurt. But she did not touch it again. Pain passes, truth stays. Captain Cole stood near her. "Ms. Brooks." He said softly, "We can turn the plane back. We can arrange medical care. Anything you need." Angela shook her head. "No," she replied calmly. "The flight will continue." The captain looked surprised. "You've been harmed," he said. "You don't have to stay." Angela looked up at him. "If I leave now," she said, "the lesson will leave with me." Her words were gentle, but strong. Captain Cole nodded. "Slowly, I understand," he said. He turned to the passengers. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience," he announced. "We will continue to Paris." The engines hummed steadily again. Life moved forward, but nothing was the same. A senior flight attendant named Maria stepped forward. Her eyes were kind. Her voice was warm. "Ms. Brooks," she said quietly, "I am truly sorry on behalf of the crew." Angela met her eyes. "Thank you," Angela replied. "Please continue your work." Maria nodded and moved away. She treated every passenger differently than before. Softer, kinder, more human. Others noticed the man who had defended. Angela earlier leaned toward her. "I feel ashamed," he said. "I watched it happen before I spoke." Angela smiled gently. "You spoke when it mattered," she said. "That is what counts." The woman across the aisle whispered, "You are very brave." Angela shook her head. "I am just tired of silence," she replied. Angela opened her notebook again. She wrote one sentence: "Power should protect the weak, not punish them." She stared at the words for a long moment. Then she closed the notebook. Her decision was forming. Hours later, mid-flight, Captain Cole returned. "Ms. Brooks," he said respectfully, "company headquarters has been informed. Media will hear about this soon." Angela nodded. "I know," she said. "They are asking what action you want to take." He added. Angela looked out the window. Clouds floated below, soft and endless. She remembered being young, being ignored, being told to be quiet. She remembered every passenger who had no voice. Angela turned back to the captain. "This will not end with one employee," she said. Captain Cole listened closely. "I want a full investigation," Angela continued, "not only of Emily, but of management, of training, of ignored complaints." Captain Cole's eyes widened. "That will expose many people," he said. Angela nodded. "That is the point." Later, Angela stood up. The cabin noticed she did not raise her voice, but everyone listened. "I want to say something," Angela said. Passengers leaned in. "I did not reveal who I was to gain respect," she said. "I revealed it because respect was missing." She paused. "Many of you watched. Some spoke. Some stayed silent. No anger. No blame. Only truth." "Next time," Angela continued, speak sooner. For someone who may not have a voice, a soft wave of emotion moved through the cabin. People nodded, some clapped quietly. Angela sat down again. Her heart felt lighter. She had made her choice. Not revenge, not anger, change. As the plane continued toward Paris, Angela looked peaceful. The pain on her cheek was fading, but the mark left on the airline, that would last. The plane landed in Paris early morning. The sky was gray. The air was cold, but inside the airport, something big was already moving. News travels fast, and this story was flying faster than the plane itself. Before passengers even left the aircraft, phones started buzzing. Messages, notifications, breaking news alerts. A short video had appeared online the moment of the slap. The silence, the shock, someone had recorded it. The headline spread everywhere. Flight attendant slaps passenger. Unaware she is airline owner. People watched with anger. People shared with disbelief. People talked at the gate. Airport staff waited nervously. Security stood alert. Management teams rushed in with worried faces. They surrounded Angela as soon as she stepped out. Ms. Brooks, please come with us, one executive said quickly. Angela nodded calmly. She was not afraid. Truth had a strong shield. Inside a private room, senior leaders sat stiffly. Some avoided eye contact. Some looked ashamed. Some looked scared. Angela stood. She did not sit. This is not about me, she said. This is about what we allowed to grow. No shouting. No insults. Only honesty. She played the video on the screen. The room went silent. This did not start on this flight. Angela continued. It started when complaints were ignored. A manager tried to speak. We followed procedure. Angela raised her hand. Procedure without humanity is failure. She said. The room froze outside. The public reacted. Social media was on fire. People shared their own stories. I was treated badly too. They ignored my complaint. I felt judged. The airline's name was everywhere. But something else was happening. Two people were not just angry. They were hopeful. Angela made a public statement. She stood in front of cameras. No makeup, no script. I am sorry, she said, not because I was hurt, but because others were hurt before me. Reporters went silent. This airline will change, Angela continued, and change will start today. Actions followed words. Emily was officially fired. Supervisors who hid complaints were suspended. Training programs were stopped and rebuilt. New rules were written. Respect was no longer optional. Angela did something unexpected. She invited passengers who had complained in the past. She listened. She did not defend. She did not explain. She listened. Some cried. Some shouted. Some stayed quiet. All were heard. One passenger said, "This is the first time someone listened." Angela nodded. That is how trust begins, she replied. Days later, Angela returned home. She stood alone again, but this time, the silence felt different. It felt earned. She looked at her. Reflection. The bruise on her cheek was gone. But the lesson remained. Angela opened her notebook one last time. She wrote, "Respect is not a service. It is a duty." She closed the book. Outside, the world was watching, and this time, was watching change. Weeks passed. The news slowly moved on to other stories. The cameras turned away. The noise became quiet. But inside the airline, nothing was the same. Angela Brooks stood in a large training room. New flight attendants sat in neat rows. Old staff sat among them. Everyone was silent. No phones, no talking. No pride, just attention. Angela did not stand on a stage. She stood among them. She wore the same simple clothes she had worn on the flight. No power show. No status, just truth. She began with a soft voice. "I want to tell you a story," Angela said. She did not say her name. She did not say her title. "I once flew on a plane," she continued, "and I was treated like I did not belong." Some attendants shifted uncomfortably. Angela looked at them gently. "I was ignored. I was judged. I was hurt." The room was still. She touched her cheek lightly. "But the pain on my face healed," she said. "The pain inside others does not heal so fast." Angela walked slowly between the chairs. "You will serve rich people," she said. "You will serve poor people. You will serve loud people and quiet people." She stopped. "But your job is not to judge," she said. "Your job is to respect." Some attendants lowered their heads. Some wiped their eyes. Angela stopped near the back of the room. "One slap changed the future of this airline," she said. "Not because of who I am," she paused, "but because of who we choose to be." Later that day, Angela walked through the airport alone. No cameras. No security. A young woman at the help desk smiled warmly. "Good afternoon, ma'am. How can I help you?" Angela smiled back. "Thank you," she said. "I just wanted to say hello." The woman looked surprised, then smiled brighter. Angela walked on. Her steps were light dot at the gate. Angela saw a nervous passenger, a black woman holding a small bag. She looked unsure. Out of place, Angela sat beside her. "Is this your first flight?" Angela asked gently. The woman nodded. "I'm scared they will judge me," she whispered. Angela smiled softly. "Look around," she said. "You belong here." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she said. The boarding call echoed. Angela stood before entering the plane. She turned once more. She looked at the airline logo. She remembered the slap, the silence, the truth. She did not feel anger. She felt peace. As Angela walked onto the plane, a flight attendant greeted her. "Welcome aboard, ma'am," the attendant said warmly. Angela nodded, not because of who she was, but because respect had finally arrived. Final lesson. End message for audience. Respect does not need a title. Kindness does not need permission. And power means nothing without humanity. The quiet person you judge today may be the one who teaches you tomorrow.